From all the hero sections I made, I probably picked this one for my own portfolio, and I built it entirely with Claude code in under an hour. What you're seeing here is a fully animated hero, and it's built around an invisible 3D sphere. The portfolio images are mounted on placeholders that slowly orbit this sphere, and right in the center sits the logo of the website. And you can grab the sphere and drag it to make it spin faster, and when you let it go, it gently slows back down to its idle rotation. When you hover over one of the images, it comes forward and holds still, and when you click it, the whole sphere clears away and the image opens into a full project page with a very soft and elegant transition. In today's video, I'll walk you through exactly how I created it, and make sure to stick around till the end because I prepared a small free gift for you as a thank you for watching. Before I opened Claude Code, I sketched the concept in Figma. And I went with a warm off-white here to complement the warm-toned images, and this is just a small thing, but it makes the whole page feel a bit calmer. For the typography I used Tenor Sans, and this is a font that I really like, especially when it is used in all capitals with a lot of letter spacing like you can see here in the logo. And it has this quiet and elegant feel that fits a portfolio like this really well. Now the tricky part was showing the actual orbit in a static design file, because the whole idea is that the images sit on a 3D sphere, and that's just hard to capture in a flat image. So what I did here is I placed the images in a rough sphere shape, and then I made some of them larger and some of them smaller to suggest that the larger ones are closer to you and the smaller ones are further away. I also lowered the opacity of the images that are further back, so you can see how they start to fall behind the logo in the center, while the ones in front stay fully visible. And it's not perfect, but it's enough to show the idea I was going for, and this is what became my reference image for the start state. And then over here I made a second reference image, and this one is for the project page. This is the end state, so this is what you see after a user clicks on one of the images in the sphere. And the idea is that the clicked image on the home page should reveal this project page with a smooth transition. So I had these two reference images, the start and the end state, and then I prompted for the transition in between, and that's really the whole concept. So with the concept ready, I pasted it in the first prompt, and this one builds the entire hero section with the orbiting sphere. And let me quickly walk you through how I laid out this prompt, because I structured it from the top of the page downwards. So I started with the navigation bar, and then the warm off-white background, then the sphere itself with the images on it and the logo in the center. And I ended the prompt with all the animations like the loading, the idle orbit, and the dragging and the hover. There are a few small things from this prompt that I want to highlight and show you what they resulted in. For the sphere itself, I asked Claude to spread the images across the surface using a Fibonacci spiral distribution. And this is just a way of placing points evenly around the sphere so they don't all clump together at the top and bottom. And you can see the images are spaced out really nicely without any gaps or clusters. I also prompted for the cards to always rotate to face you as they orbit, and this is a technique that's called billboarding. So even though the cards are moving around a 3D sphere, they never turn away from you, or they never show their thin edge, which keeps every image readable the whole way around. And then there are the animations, and this is where most of the prompt went. I asked for the cards to fade in one by one and to bloom outward from the center instead of the whole thing just appearing at once. And I really like how calm this makes the page feel when it first opens. I also prompted for one slow rotation every 50 seconds, and I added a gentle bob to each card so they drift up and down slightly and out of sync with each other, and this keeps the sphere quietly in motion even when you're not touching it. I then asked that when you grab the sphere and you let it go, it keeps spinning and then it slowly comes to a halt, like it has a bit of weight to it. And this small bit of momentum is what makes it feel so satisfying to interact with. And my favorite detail is the hover state. When I hover over an image, it becomes fully opaque and it holds its position so it stays fixed while I'm looking at it. But then the clever part is that it remembers exactly where it belongs in the sphere. So when I release the hover, it smoothly moves back into its place in the orbit while all the other images just keep floating. And although this is just a small detail, it does make the whole interaction feel more alive. So this first prompt came really close to what I had in mind, but it did have a few small things that I wanted to adjust. The first is that the images were overlapping the navigation bar at the top, and this is something that I didn't want. I was hoping my reference image would get this right, but it didn't quite. And then the second was the navigation bar itself, and honestly this is something that I could have prompted better from the start. I wanted a full width navigation bar with padding on the left and the right side for both the buttons and the thin line hair divider underneath them. And then there was one thing that Claude actually got wrong, which doesn't happen very often. Instead of placing the logo inside the orbit, it placed it behind the whole sphere, so all the images ended up floating in front of the logo. And the whole point was that the logo should sit inside the sphere with some of the images in front of it and some behind it. So I wrote a single prompt with all of these points and I worked on a new branch for it, and it fixed everything perfectly on the first try. The second prompt describes what should happen when you click one of the images, and for this one I used my second reference image, the end state, to clearly show what I was going for, and I deliberately didn't want to include this in the first prompt. I wanted the hero section to be completely finished before I moved on to the transition. And the reason for this is that I thought that the transition was the harder and more fragile part. If I had asked for both at once and then something about the hero wasn't quite right, it could have become a real mess to go back and then untangle. In the prompt I described the transition as a sequence where the animations happen one after another instead of all at the same time. So first, the image you click on stays fixed exactly where it is, and the other images and the logo inside the sphere fade away. Then, once they faded out, the clicked image relocates to the right side of the screen and resizes to fill it. And only when that image has fully settled into place, the text fades in on the left, one element at a time, aligned with the navigation bar on the left. The one thing that I adjusted after this prompt was the paragraph on the left, which sat a little too close to the bottom of the screen. And to fix something like this very precisely, I asked Claude for the distance in pixels between the paragraph and the bottom of the browser. And instead of saying something like move the paragraph up a bit, I get a number and then I can reply with the exact pixel amount that I prefer. And this is just an easy way to nudge things into place without a lot of going back and forth. After that, I wanted to push this a bit further and make the whole design responsive. And the way that I like to do this is working from the top of the page to the bottom. So I started with the navigation. On mobile, I wanted the logo to move to the left and then a hamburger menu in the top right corner. And when you open that hamburger menu, the navigation buttons stack vertically and then fill the screen. For the sphere, I wanted to keep the same orbit that I had on the desktop version, but I did have to adjust its shape a little. On a narrow screen, a wide horizontal orbit doesn't really fit, so I prompted it to tilt the sphere so the orbit becomes more vertical, with the images sweeping up and down more than side to side. And I also mentioned that I didn't mind if the orbit overflowed the screen a little bit because I needed that space and I didn't want the images to become too small to see. And the transition stays the same as on the desktop. When you tap an image, the rest fades away and the project page opens. But on a mobile, I prompted for a vertical layout instead of a two-column one. So the project image sits on top and then the text sits underneath it and you have to scroll down to read it. And here's the end result, a beautiful hero design with the animated orbiting sphere with elegant hover and drag interactions. And when you click on an image, the project page opens with a calm transition and a version that works just as nicely on mobile. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see more designs that I built with AI, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And as a thank you for watching, I added all the prompts and the actual website files as a free download in the description, so you can use these animations in your own designs. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.